Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, across the country, around the world. Welcome back to Planet Coaster, WestCOT. We are working on Valencia, the part of the World Showcase. It is Valencia, Spain. We can see right here the front, entrance courtyard space with the City of Arts and Sciences there on the right, and the Serranos gates there in the middle, that castle-looking gate. Today we're going to work on the main courtyard that is behind the Serranos gate. And there we go, jumping into the very twitchy time lapse. This recording was about 6 hours worth of recording. So you're seeing it actually at 16 times normal speed. So it makes things a little jumpy, a little twitchy. Hopefully it's not uncomfortable to watch. Anyway, we're working on this inner courtyard here, which is going to be a lot of buildings, a lot of facades. And this is modeled after a place that I've been to in Valencia, where they have, I believe it's called, I could be wrong, Neptune's Fountain, and I build that a little bit later. Whether it's Neptune or Poseidon, I'm not sure. Although if I search Neptune's Fountain on Google, I find it, so it gets to the right place. Anyway, these are modeled after buildings that are around that square. Again, it's not right where the Serranos Gate is, but they're in proximity to each other. So a lot of these buildings are loosely based off of that. Actually, not that loosely, actually fairly decently, I think, based off of those in terms of coloration and window type and things like that, and relative height and structure and number of windows, things like that. I'm actually really pleased with how this whole area came out. In the end, what I've got looks really nice. It just took a long time, and it's been hard to stay motivated to do it. That's partly why there's so few episodes lately. Just this has been a lot of work over a week or two to get this done. Yeah. And I was sick a couple weeks ago, and we had our wedding anniversary celebration weekend, so that's why production for episodes is kind of stalled. I've been spending a lot of time with my wife, as I should be, right? Yes. And here, yeah, that's where I cut away to show her what I was building. That's why I zoomed out there real crazy, like. And this roof does not stay that yellow. That's kind of pukey. There you go, brownish yellow. Good. Anyway. This inner courtyard here is going to be just a big courtyard. It's only going to have a few services. Well, it's actually going to have a number of services. It's going to have food. It's going to have, well, I'll talk about those as they come. It'll also have a restroom, and it's going to have a monorail station. You'll see later when we jump, and poof, there are the monorail ramps coming up out of the ground. Because at this point, you can see the monorail in the background there. It goes underground. So it's going to go underground from, well, it goes from here in Valencia up toward the front of the park. And actually do link it and make it all work. People actually use it, which was really a pleasant surprise. And these buildings here, yeah, I used the lead line windows for this, but they're supposed to be like long glass windows with verticals or drapes behind it, but don't really have that. I didn't want to use too modern windows too much, because this is supposed to be an older area of Valencia, but we use a few modern things here and there, but not too much. Yeah, this building, I like this one. It has this nice little patio balcony thing up on the top there. Yeah. And this is the one, I think this is the one place in this episode where I go to use the, quote, Spanish tiles. But the slope, there we go. Yeah, I had to change the slope because they don't come in that 1 meter slope, only in the 2 meter slope. Grr. Yeah, these facades, these are all just facades. It's not even the next set, it's the set after this, after that, I mean, that actually have some services, some purposes to them. These are really just borders of the land, bracketing the things so that the courtyard has an enclosure. There, I just did a cut there. I just completed the monorail. So you could see those ramps coming up out of the ground. Yeah, those are for the monorail stations. I knew I needed that to have a home, so I got to that then, at that point, because we're going to build these couple of facades over here, and then build another building that actually has those entrances for it. And this one here, in the pictures I found, it's kind of a modern-ish looking building, or it looks like it's an older building that has been modernized. Like it has those outward patios, and to me, it looks a little bit like a little bit like a motel, where it has those kind of window that framework around it. And then I think we just ended up using smooth concrete for all that stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of a remodernized-ish building, kind of, sort of, and then railings. But the one next to it, it's cool. It reminds me of like when I get to it, it reminds me a bit of the like the Ghostbusters building, that tall, skinny brick building with the all the accents that it has. Yeah, and these windows were a bit of a struggle. Wrong layer to get correct. And then down here, I used again the lead line windows. Those were supposed to be like big shop store display windows. Yeah. Yeah, this one I like. I really like the brick and that, whatever that thing is called, those corner things, the quinons, I can't remember what they're called. Building. Yeah, lots and lots of building. Like I said, this was 6 hours worth of building. And I'm sorry if it's not that terribly exciting, but that's what I did. Oy. And then, yeah, testing out this stuff, see how that looks. I really like, for a courtyard like this, I really am liking the flagstone ground surface there. Oh yeah, so here, before I get into building this building, I need to connect up the paths. And we do, and then yeah, here we're going to start framing that in, and then tweaking the paths. And they don't line up perfectly because they quote auto tunnel and all that stuff like that. But it ends up it ends up working out and looking all right. Oh, I need to go in and change the texture of the ground in there so it's not the grass anymore. Yeah. This building here, the other buildings are all, so far, have all been like apartments, residential type stuff. This building, I asked my wife, she didn't know, even though we've been there. She and her mom is from there, but I could have asked her mom, but it wasn't important. It wasn't that important. And by the time I see her, this will be out. But this building, I think, is actually a convent. I know when we were there, we actually had lunch in this plaza in Spain. Out by Neptune's Fountain there. And I think this was a convent because we saw a lot of nuns coming in and out of this building. And the building that'll be next to it, to the right of the building we're looking at now, that is a church, or will be a church once I've built it. But I think, like I said, I think this was a convent. Yeah, here's the part that was kind of a struggle. It has a dome on top. It has a nice rounded dome with a little steeple on top. But I didn't want to use those there. Those pieces just, they looked too, I don't know, Russian, kind of. They look like, St. Michael's Cathedral, and that's not what I'm going for. But they're a nice blue tile roof, so I got these pieces. And I'm kind of stealing, Silverette's technique. Or trying to emulate his technique, I guess. And yeah, get that in there to get the right size to it. And even though this takes, hundreds of pieces to do, I am quite happy with how it turned out. I actually really am very happy. Yeah, here we go. Now I'm going to copy it and spin. Yes. Yeah, I really like how that dome looks, how it turned out. It's small, not necessarily proportional. That building is actually scaled up. That building is probably twice the size of what it is in real life. But, it's a theme park. And I needed it to be that big to fill that space and to deal with the paths and stuff going inside. So here I was starting to work on the Neptune's Fountain. I was thinking of using these cider press pieces, but that didn't really work out. And the fountain pieces are okay for like one fountain, but to make a larger fountain, it's a bit of a struggle. So I end up using these guys and kind of clipping them together, linking them up like that. And it ends up, it's okay. And there's no Neptune. There's, the clamshell and the princess, the mermaid thing. So I end up using those. And I thought I could use a parrot, like the wing sticking out like something, but no. So I had said, all right, we'll just use stock pieces, pirate ships on the end, and the pufferfish there. But kind of sunk in, so they're not standing up really high. And then, of course, some water effects, because what's a fountain without water effects? But these I wanted to be there to show the water splashing from the upper layer down to the lower levels, the lower layers. And that accomplishes that pretty well. Have the pufferfish spitting out a little bit of water. And I was going to try to put water in like the cannons of the pirate ship, but that would have been too small, too much detail work. So we ended up with just little display fountains that just kind of, three that kind of shoot up and across each other there at the two ends. And that there is, and then the water coming out of the mermaid herself, which is kind of hard to hide that thing. Her head's just not quite big enough. There's little pieces clipping out here and there. But that's Neptune's Fountain. And then I ended up trying to get paths to you know, pass as close to that as I could before they got all covered up by this stuff. The way the guests walk around, it looks pretty nice when, you know, they're just wandering through and you don't know that they're stuck on that path. Yeah. All right, so over here, I think I was pausing looking at research. Over here, what is this? Yeah, rough brick. Yeah. This building, this is where we start getting some services in. This is where I put in I think I put in Pizza Pen and I think Pip Shop Juice. I chose those two specifically-ish. When we were here in Valencia, when we ate in this square, we had a paella, or I had a paella. I forget what my wife had, but I had paella, and I'm pretty sure I had some sangria. Sangria. So there's obviously no paella, and there's no sangria, there's no adult beverages. Aww. There's no adult beverages in the game. That's kind of sad. Anyway, I put those two there to kind of emulate pizza. Big flat round dish. It kind of emulates paella, sure. So that's there. And I didn't really want to put any of the labels there. Although looking at the video footage coming out of PAX East right now, it looks like there'll be more options for signage for a lot of restaurants and new fences on a lot of things. That's really exciting to see what's coming out of PAX East as Planet Coaster releases those videos. This building, though, is modeled after the one that's about right there. Whether it actually has like cafes on the ground floor, I'm not sure. And it has a couple flags on top. None of the flags that the game gives you are quite right, so they don't make it into the game. Pity. And then yeah, this little border here. I think that's the only border. Yeah, that's really the only thing I do. So here again, we're gonna use the same technique of sinking some. Well, not sinking, but you know, placing some tables because this was an outside, you know, cafe dining area. None of them in that set are really quite correct. I think I end up just going with the dining table like that, the two bench seats, and that becomes our little dining area. And then we end up, there we go, covering it all up, and I think it looks really nice when it's covered. It just looks like a place that's made for dining. Then over here, another building that's going to be a lot of services, food, basically, food and drinks. Initially, I wanted it to be, I didn't have the spacing quite right. There's nothing that fits in that quarter tile space. And the pathing wasn't quite right either. So I end up fixing it. There we go. And then I realized, wait, why am I stressing? Once I put these pieces in, then the paths will connect. But I am a stickler about guests, well, kind of a stickler, about guests clipping through building pieces. So in theory, because all those are separate little inlets to each food stall, they should not clip through those archways. I hope. That's how it's supposed to work. Whether it ends up working like that, who knows? We shall see. And this building ends up being really tall, but in the square, it is that tall. So I'm not sure how I'm going to rectify these tall buildings with the stuff that's going to happen behind it with the roller coaster went out back there. It's kind of supposed to be out a bit more in the wilderness. I don't know. We'll make it work somehow. Yeah, and then I copied the same technique I used outside at the front plaza with those the doubled up archways there. Yeah, and then this building is going to be, that's about the shape of it. Although we add one more something stall. I think I put milkshakes here. Can't remember. It was a struggle to get it in place. And then that connects up there. Yay. Yeah, fix all the vendors. Make sure they're paid correctly so they don't disappear and close your shops. That would suck. And then, yeah, oh, I love this part. Once I got these railings on these balconies and these windows here, and there's a window, there we go, and then copied it up and up, it really looked a lot like the building that's there. It looks a lot like that building, so I was really happy with that. And then on top, it does have these two smokestacks like that are kind of deep. So I was very pleased with how that building turned out. Very, very pleased. Here, yes. So I noticed, whatever. There are a few spots here and there where the buildings don't meet up and there's just gaps. So we're going to backstop those with some other facades that are stolen from other areas of this, other corners that hopefully you know, guests aren't going to look that closely and notice like, hey, that building's over there. You know, suspension of disbelief and whatnot. But it's an older area, so they would use a lot of the same building techniques. So we steal those 3 different facades and then alter them accordingly so that all those little areas are blocked. And now we're going to start on the final building construction for this episode. Not quite the final building for the plaza, but the final building for this episode. The next building will be, I'm not entirely sure what it will be, aside from the fact that I know it will be the station for the coaster. This is a church. I'm pretty sure this is a church. It has a tower, it has steeples, it has a stained glass window, and all those things in real life. And it has, to the left, it has those kind of open archways. I'm not sure what's there or what used to be there, whether it was a garden or prayer space, or what, I don't know. I tried looking at sandstone because it had the right size archways, but it was too dark, and you can't recolor the sandstone, which I find slightly annoying. So we go with the castle pieces, and there's nothing great for making those archways. So I had to resort to making them from scratch. And I was trying to do a lot of different things. Nothing was really clicking for me at first. But I got those set up as, okay, there's the heights. I was going to use these. I'm like, no, those are way too thick. That's not going to give me enough. Because they're narrow archways. They're about on par with what you saw with the sandstone earlier. Yes, we go with this. It's a modern brick, but when it's mixed with the castle pieces, it kind of blends in. It's not bad. And then I said, okay, well, can we use these? Yeah, that emulates an archway. Then I got the wood piece there to kind of cap it off a little bit more. And I think that looks decent, at least on the straightaways. On the curved piece in the middle, which we're going to play with in just a moment. There, yeah. Here, the struggle is real. So that was quite the headache to get these correct. It's close. It's an approximation. It's not pretty, but unless you're like right up on it, it looks okay. If you're further away, it blends together. It looks like archways, and it looks like, you know, like imperfect construction, which, I mean, they were great back then whenever this was built, but nothing would have been 100% correct. So yeah, this was by the end of it, I was like, okay, I think I have an idea of what I'm doing now, and I might go back and clean up some of them, but I might not, because again, from further away, they look pretty good. Okay, and then we start, fleshing out the rest of the building. On the front here, we have an entryway, which has a nice door. And above that, so some railing. But above that is where there is a large stained glass window. Oh yeah, these columns first. And I think I made it out of separate pieces, but then I probably could find that same column as one solid piece. Anyway, we got a stained glass window back here. And I use the art shapes to make that happen. Here I was pausing and looking at research and asking my wife about it, even though she didn't know anything about it. That was a long pause. I could have called her mom, but that's, I don't want to bother her. She works nights. I don't want to bother her during the day. There we go. So here we're going to do this, and it's going to be a lot of the art shapes. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know. But I end up liking it a lot. I think it ends up turning out to be really good, because it does have that middle ring of, kind of a flower shape. And then outside of that is kind of wrapped with like a six-pointed star, kind of a Star of David. And I was trying to find something that would be used to make like the lines of the star, like the border of it. But nothing is like thin enough for what I wanted. Everything is too chunky. So I ended up not doing that. Instead, I kind of make this, and I was like, okay, this was just experimenting. I'm like, oh, wait, oh. And this ends up, first spin, it's too big, but yeah, once you get it in there, and I actually got it just about right, because the corners just touch, and it looks great, and then I can fit another circle with something else just outside of it. So this stained glass window, I think, ends up looking pretty sweet. You can obviously tell it's a bunch of the art shapes. But, from a distance, I'm really, really, really pleased with it. I know I say that a lot, but this, I was really pleased with it. I really, really was. There we go. Copy. And then slide that thing back in there again. And then border it with this ring thing. Awesome. So that's cool. That's the stained glass window. And yeah, from a bit further away, I think it looks pretty nice. Pretty sweet. Except I was going to cover it up with all these pieces. So, no. And then, there we go. Is that right? Not quite. Pull that away. Yeah. There we go. Fill that layer in with the castle pieces and then put the window on it. Beautiful. Yeah, quite pleased with how that turned out. And then just giving it some borders, some prettiness there, making it look a little less plain. And then over to this side, the wall does sit back a little bit, and then there's a roof. Here, we're going to put another, some of that curved, are they curved or are they hexagonal? Oh no, I did do or the octagonal. And then I was thinking like domes. If I build another one, no, that's too tedious. I'm going with that. It's kind of big. It's kind of not quite correct, and the color's not quite right, but it's livable. And it was quick. At this point, I was getting a little tired of building because this was going on hour 5 and some change. And here, I just used stucco. I don't know if I like that choice. I might change that to the lime plaster if that has the right sloped pieces. Yeah, and then here the roof, part of it. And then in the back, there is this large tower, and it is octagonal. So I was like, oh, that's just perfect. So that's a nice, easy thing to stick in there. Boop, 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 boop. Wall, wall, wall. But yeah, it's a big octagonal tower. So that was really easy to, create in this game because you got all those lovely octagonal pieces. And then just cap it off. And it has some nice, not quite stained glass windows, but tall, those types of tall windows there. So I was like, oh, this is really easy. And I'm very happy with how this turned out. Very happy with how the whole plaza turned out. A few more windows, and that'll be it. There we go with some, there we are in real time. Final look at the plaza so far. It's a lot of facades. It's a lot of false things, especially down in the bottom left corner there. You can totally see that that's a facade. But from the other side, you can't really tell how much of it is fake. You can't even see. I think you might be able to see the back of the brick wall to the left there. But for the most part, it looks really good from both angles. You feel like you're in this little environment. So there's still spaces or two to flesh out, do a couple other things with it. I ended up putting in trash cans. I need to put in more benches, though. And there we are. Final look at the courtyard so far. Next episode, the final building and the coaster. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, pass the word. I will catch you later.